Okay, so I suppose that we can begin. I am going to share my screen. And this is how we start presenting today's topic. Our session will be about sustainability. And first of all, I would like to introduce ourselves, Claudia, Priscila, Gabriel. Maybe if you want, I can begin. If you cannot hear me, let me know. Well, my name is Majo from Cubadili team, and I will be facilitating this session. I will also be telling you about our organization, Cubadili, what we do there. This is a social organization that works with transformation topics, social transformation, and public. So I am very happy to be in this session and to share with you. Basically, that's it about me. Who's next? Okay, me. My name is Claudia Papeletera, also from Cubadili team, and I come here today to talk about my experience, the experience that we lived with Priscilla and Gabo, and also to accompany them from Cubadili and to find out about new sources of revenue or income, and that this is a sustainable kind of income. So, Priscilla and Gabo, I give you the floor. Okay, hello. My name is Priscilla. I come from an organization that's called Procuración FM Paso Libre, or for safe passage or free passage, and we defend the human rights of migrants and refugees in Mexico. And we also want to share our experience in this project, experience that we had with the Cubadilis team. And that's it. Welcome, everyone. Okay, Gabo, I think we lost him. I think we lost him. Okay, well, as soon as he joins back, we can give him the floor so he can introduce himself. But in the meantime, we can continue. This session is programmed for 1 hour, so let's continue. The title of this session is Sustainability Models. And what do we mean by this in Guadili? Well, basically alternative sources of income in order to generate profit, and of course to have sustainability over time. It has to do with economic sustainability as well. Before going in depth, I would like to tell you a bit more of Cubadili. Cubadili is an organization from Latin America, and we work for the whole region. We work with different organizations, with associations and public sector. We work with change, transformation. We really like this adaptation. And well, I think this is a great time to talk about that changes and transformation, especially after we saw this huge change with the pandemic. So, of course, we can talk about that. We accompany other organizations to support them in those areas. And I want to tell you about our lines of work. Basically, when we started working, the first step was the culture. We needed to work with the work culture. Actually, tomorrow we will be talking about that innovation in culture. What else? Then we worked with sustainability models, especially for those organizations that want to develop new products and services as a source of income. So we provide those services. And I think a couple more things, but in this session, that's it. I am going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. this way you can see me and I can see you. Just a sec. Okay, so I was telling you about the sustainability models. This is sustainability income or sustainable income, sorry. This is people don't have to depend on a single donor or a single customer even. We in this process and this work that we do, we are an organization that works with Wing, and we realized that there were a lot of opportunities, not only in terms of technology, but also in terms of methodology, innovation. And so we started accompanying the organizations in this process of getting or acquiring sustainable income sources. So, to begin with today's session, I want to talk about some models that we already know, that we already put in practice, and these are excellent alternatives for income generation. So, I am going to give you a short presentation. It's about 10 models, and this is for everyone to be on the same page regarding sustainable income. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so first, maybe this is the most well-known model, and this has to do with individual donors. We brought one or two examples, but of course there's a catalog of models. And the idea here is that after this session, you can start thinking about the models that would work for you and how you could implement those. This is just basic material for you to start thinking about that, but then it's up to you to adapt those or change a little bit those models in order to use them. The implementation of models has to do with the purpose of the organization, and of course recognizing which models are closer to the identity of your organization. So the first one is individual donors like Banco de Bosque. This is a campaign, a creative campaign that I really like and attracts a lot of donors. Then another one that I want to show you is Círculo Virtuoso or Virtuous Cycle, and I gave you the link as well, World Bicycle Relief. And basically, the focus of this one is bicycles, how bicycles can close gaps with health, with economy, how what do we need to do in order for people to have access to more bikes in order to move, and well, because it has a lot of benefits. So we ask for individual donations, and those donations reflect on the bikes. The model is pretty innovating. It's very different from the previous one, the individual donors, but I think it's appropriate because it combines um, some methodologies. We're always thinking about how to innovate, how to redefine things with what we already have. The next one is the franchise. Most of you are familiar with the TED Talks, TEDx, and for this example, I also brought FITSI. FITSI is the Festival of Innovation and Social Technology. And what this festival does is generate franchises, generate allies. So basically, this is a space to share knowledge, to incentivize people and actors. And of course, this could be done through an event, or this could apply also to store or something else. Then we have one 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 time one, and this is about donating. For instance, you buy a ball, and then we donate another ball, sorry. And then I have another example, which is impact of one bike. This is the link in case you want to check it out. And this is basically you buy a van and you're gonna donate a bike. This is similar to the previous one for one, but yeah, I brought it for you to explore it. And then provider of the state. Many organizations are already doing this, but this is just to show you another possibility or alternative for income. I'm showing you Cubadili, but of course there are other opportunities in order to develop products and services. So yeah, there are a lot of organizations, and it could be state supplier, and our services are linked to expertise in terms of transformation agility. Moving on, I am going to finish with the models. If there are any questions, I am going to answer them as soon as I'm done. Okay, commission. Donar online or donate online is a social organization. This is a digital platform, and it allows the social organizations to receive donations, basically individual donations. How do they work? They have the premium version, but they don't have to pay anything. This is for free. And then after certain amount of money, then the organization starts paying some fee for using the service. So if the organization receives a certain amount of money, I don't remember the exact amount, then you start paying 1 or 2% of commission. And this is something that you can see in platforms like crowdfunding and those kind of things. You might think, for instance, if you have a service, if you have a service with a high degree in terms of use frequency, it is very helpful. Then we have membership or subscription. This one is also very popular if we are still talking about the social sector. I have two examples to tell you how these organizations are adding value. We have the Club Ecofeminita, and this is a club that works in Argentina, talks about economy in terms of gender perspective, and it has a lot of followers on social media. Then that is how we realized that there was a lot of value in everything that they posted or shared. So that's why we started including a subscription that included products, services. We started creating alliances, and people can access to that information or those products. Well, I don't have here the complete information, but this is the link in case you want to check it out. I have another case, which is RASI. This is another social organization. It's also from Argentina. And the purpose is basically they want to offer the social organizations access to privileged information in terms of international cooperation. Basically, international funding and those kind of things. So when you're part of this network, for instance, if there is a meeting, an international meeting, they can access those, and they can get the information, and they can see all the different opportunities for international cooperation available. So this is one of the other models. Again, you have to think about what's suitable for your own organization, or what do you have that is so valuable that you can actually profit from it. Another possible sustainable model is Marca Blanca. And the example is Safari Tech. This is a digital game. You can find it in Wingu. And this is a game about technology. You can do surveys, and the social organizations are able to play with it. There were different kinds of materials to access, etc. This game became very popular within the organizations, and also donors and social organizations started asking for something similar, like a trivia questions and answers, and they asked if that could be replicated to other organizations or other causes. So Grupo was the product, and this is something that they are offering to other organizations. And they can edit many things, they can put some images, they can customize it for specific donors or organizations. The idea behind Marca Blanca is to look at what you already have that is working well, what could be helpful for different organizations or individuals, and start promoting it. Also Marca Blanca, the other day I was thinking, Marca Blanca is useful for organizations that already have a model, and we can possibly apply this and charge some kind of fee that a private sector organization could pay. So maybe it moves a little bit away from the concept of Marca Blanca, but I think it's interesting, that way of generating some kind of income. This is like maybe counseling for the private sector. I think there is an opportunity there. What is the income that we can generate through the uh, counseling or advisorship? Then we have sale of services. Again, I have Wingu. Wingu, well, always a social organization has needs a CRM or some database. So Wingu could charge a price to these organizations, of course, a very affordable price in comparison to the price for private sector organizations. So small fee, and you could have different users. Then another one is the sale of products. We have the example of Asociación Civil Andar, and this is an organization that works with people that has different capabilities. And this is a kitchen where people can prepare all sorts of foods, and they can offer also catering services, they can generate income, they can generate employment. So I think this is a very virtuous cycle or circle. We have another one, strategic alliances. I was listening to some sessions yesterday. I saw Jonathan's presentation, and he was talking about an alliance that has the experience, and when they started working or collaborating with another organization, they could join efforts and capabilities, and it was very fruitful. In terms of technology, there are a lot of opportunities, so it's our job to think about the things we're doing and how we can add value to those things. Okay, so far these were the models that I wanted to share with you. I am going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, So far, so good. Can you see me? Yeah? Well, I see your picture. Now I can see you. Okay. So the question that I had is if you are aware of any other model that is interesting for the social sector, maybe you can share it with us today. And also, this is an open question for the audience. If you know about a model, something that has happened when I go to workshops is that you listen to other people and then you realize how people are being creative and they are developing other uh, alternative sources of income, and then that makes you think, I never thought about this, and yeah, this is a good opportunity. So in the meantime, if anyone wants to share their experience with models in the chat, that's okay. And in the meantime, maybe another person can take the microphone. We want to talk about the accompaniment that we gave to the organization. Gabriel, you were not able to introduce yourself at the beginning, right? Can you do it now? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So, as I told you from the beginning, I wanted to tell you the experience that we have with FM4 and the accompaniment that we gave to this process. And the most important part is that in Quadili we have enjoyed quite much this process of accompaniment for FM4. Fernando Santos, myself, and the whole team FM4. Also, we had Priscilla, Gabo. They have brought so much to our cause. So, Majo, if you want to help me with the slides, please. Okay, the first thing that we did in our meeting was understand what's a team, and to have actually a team, that is the basis. We needed to know each other, understand each other's functions, what is our purpose, what is our life objective. Both in Quadili as in FM4, we needed to discuss these things. We needed to get to know each other. We needed to talk about the organization, how we are going to work, how we're going to communicate, how or where we're going to put everything that we generate. So, all of these are the questions that we need to make before starting this. First of all, we needed to define our objectives. What do we want to achieve? It's important to know our objective. Every action that we take has to be aiming our goal. Then later on, I want to talk about the workflows, and always the work that we do, the actions that we do, we need to compare that with our objective in order to make sure that it's aligned and that we're getting closer to that objective. So we have devoted a good amount of time in order to discuss these things. Finally, we discussed the measurement. How are we going to measure our results and the source of income? After that, we had ideas, and of course, all of these things need to be inspirational. The kind of work that pushes you to continue doing things, continue working until you achieve your goals. So, and then finally, as I said, how are we going to measure this? Because, okay, we're aiming to a specific objective, but how are we going to measure these actions in order to get closer to the objective? So, how do we start generating ideas? The whole team does a brainstorming. And in the team of FM4, they all worked excellent. They all brought good ideas, they complemented each other's ideas, and from that collective intelligence, they were adding more and more ideas and generating new ones.
So we are not avoiding any of them, and the most ideas that we have, the better, because the idea is to have to make to be divergent and to have the biggest quantity of ideas, to do a brainstorming. All ideas that could we have, all are good. And well, later we had a big quantity of ideas with which we needed to filtrate them and to focus on them to see with which ones we were going to remain and which are the ones that we were actually going to take into consideration. We understand that they could be, some of them could be closer to our objective. So this, like this, we started to qualify them and to determine certain criteria that have to do with a lot of noise. Do you listen a lot of noise? Well, sorry, I listen a lot of noise, but I will continue then. So here, in order to qualify the ideas, we need to understand that there are to be criteria, which were the impact of our ideas and how feasible they were to be carried out. So for this, we determined that in the impact there were some variables, and we qualified them. The MF or team qualified them and graded them, and around the week they graded them, and the following session that we had, everything was already set. And in the following week where we meet, we had all the ideas graded, and then it was very simple to take them to an access to a graph where we could qualify or where we could assess the impact from the lowest impact to the biggest impact, in order to check all these ideas to see which of them were the biggest impact ideas and the most feasible ideas, because there we will place the focus. The idea is, with all these methodologies, first of all, to work on some of them and to place focus there, so that all our energy and all our effort is not disseminated or widespreaded. So this is how we qualify the biggest impact and the ones of greater feasibility. So after select them, then we could start with the whole experimentation. And what experiment means: experiments are the way to that we have to understand whether what we have in a short-term cycle is going to take us closer to the objective. And the idea of the experimentation is then to define, to create a hypothesis in order to see what do we believe that is going to happen, what is going to be achieved, what is going to happen, which is our hypothesis. Let's guess all these things of income and ideas that Majo mentioned at the beginning, and a lot of hypotheses that were traced. First of all, we need to understand if the people is willing that whenever they buy a bowl, they will donate another one as a gift. This we need to test it. And the way to test it is by means of the scientific method, the experimentation method. So what we're doing is to trace this hypothesis, to define an experiment, and to see how we are going to assess it. And in certain manner to set that when this metric reaches certain scope, center, and range, we will consider the experiment being successful or unsuccessful. And from the point of view of the experiments, maybe this is not the experiment, the results that we were expecting from the results, but not all experiments are successful. Because even though we achieved not to invest a lot and to lose a lot of time because it was just an experiment, it was in a big project of a lot of months, we noticed that this wasn't useful. So the idea was to determine a range in which we will determine the course of action in order to check that to verify or to determine another action that will be closer to our objectives, the one that was defined at the beginning when we started to work. So once we defined the experiments, actually here FM4 took us forward, and we are already behind them because of a consultation or another topic that they may want to make a consultation to us, to query us. So we are willing to do this and available for them in order to support them in the course of action about these experiments. And then I can tell you a little bit about the execution that actually they fold them. Priscilla, Gabo, y Gaudi follow this course of action. The idea was to have short cycles and to have reiteration all the time. Why short cycle and iterative cycles? Because what we want in by means of the experimentation is to validate learning. So all this uncertainty that we had at the beginning, whether we will have results or not about our proposal, first of all, we want to validate. And what we want to do is always to minimize the investment. The idea here is to, if we fail, to fail quickly and to have it cheap. So we don't need to generate a lot of investment to do this experiment. It could be a little experiment, smaller the better. And then in the next recurrent activity, we will invest more in our effort and in money. But baby steps, little by little. This is how we call them in order to be closer to this big objective. And what does the short cycles allow us? When we say short cycles, we're talking about weeks, 1 week, 2 week. So it's to inspect and to adapt ourselves. To inspect, we're going to measure against this metric that was set in the experiment. And if not, we are not going to throw back the experiment. Or maybe we'll remove it, but we are not losing a lot because we lose few weeks and we invested few money as well. This is the main idea, right? So, and also in this work with them, what we have proposed is some practices, some methodologies that have to do with the synchronization, with the daily synchronization of what they are doing in order not to lose 1 week. And then we noticed that this task wasn't taken by anybody because it wasn't clear who it was, or there was an experiment and we weren't able to save it because actually, as a team and collaborating one with the other, in this synchronous manner, we can achieve overcoming all these obstacles in certain manner. Also, what we work with them in an opportunity was about reflection. The reflection is very recommended in all these short cycles of work, in order to understand what we did well, what wasn't so well, and how we can improve this as a team. This is fundamentally what we're trying to do within this reflection after every cycle. First of all, how the experiment went, and also how we did as an experiment, as a team, sorry, by generating all these ideas. So the proposal of working with them and generating one team was to place all these abilities in FM4 as a free step so that they can continue by themselves and be autonomous, so that they can develop these abilities, these skills, and to keep on generating ideas, keep on experimenting, and keep on giving steps, going closer to our objective. Priscilla and Majo are the main characters of FM4 Paso Libre, so I would like to you to introduce yourself. Hello, good morning. How are you? Sorry, because my internet is not going well, but it seems that everything it was solved already. My name is Gabriel, so I'm the responsible on social communication in FM4 Paso Libre. And all this belongs to the politics, and social incidents area. But I also work hand in hand with the per- procreation, with the purchasing department, with Priscilla and with Gaudry for these issues. Actually, of the process, we learned this. We learned this that the political and social incidents, we have an area for this, and the power of attorney, this could be together, the prosecution, I mean, and this helps one to another. So this was also part of the learning. How do you see my introduction? So I'm going to talk about my experience with the Coadile team. Actually, at the beginning, we were very hesitant about the methodology because I believe that we were always used to only one way to procure um, funds, and when we are looking for cash that are the non-labeled donors, we look for donors of the company and the central donor. So when they told us that we had other alternatives for the gathering of funds, then we were thinking about the different ideas, because I think that this idea is already very well rooted. So I really love it because from the first moment we were in love, because they show you a new training, a new methodology, and this is what you do. So to start doing it and to keep on learning from the beginning and to keep on doing it step by step was something very good. And something else was that we first learn to build a team from different areas of the organization. I think that contributed a lot to the project, because actually, even though we are from different areas, we are focused on the gathering, on the collection and execution of funds from. So Gabriel from his area, he learned how to contribute to these activities. Another thing was also the experiments and the way how we develop the experiments, from breaking out the idea and getting into it to see the goal, to which public we want to reach and everything. Because I think that this is another thing that we also consider, that we also failed, because we planned and everything, and they always told us, right, you don't need to follow your intuitions or your ideas and to think that everything is going to go well. We need to establish well, because I think that this the public, who is the public that we are going to address, how much the public is willing to invest. All those details that may seem very simple actually are very, very important. And it could be, we had a mural, a wall, where we wrote all our ideas, and I think that contributed a lot, because we had a lot of ideas, but then the line it's lost a little bit. So this was our experience in general terms. And another thing was to do the experiments in the fewest time, because sometimes we are willing to plan something very big, and we are willing to go very big, and it is very difficult to make small things to see results, and as Claudia was saying, to start growing little by little. And yes, on the general basis, this was our experience, and maybe Gabo can tell you a little bit more about the activities that we carried out and that we keep on planning. May I continue? Is there any question or something? So I'm gonna tell you about the story of the T-shirts of FM4. That were some of the sessions with ones that we worked. We already have some other articles as part of the merchandise in order for it to procure funds. We had these T-shirts, and we always consider them as a good product, with the phrases related to migration. We are all migrants. Any human being is illegal, and let's construct bridges and not walls. And it was very beautiful. We had a vendor that was giving us good time, and that was giving us a good income and profit. And actually, some of these products were bought by some volunteers, even ourselves, to brag the product in social networks and to help them support. And this is what I was saying before, that these phrases expose our philosophy in the procreation of funds. Yeah, thank you very much. And well, so we had this great product. We started doing these big experiments. We started doing service. We started also doing other activations, such as contact influencers in certain manner. Sorry, I'm losing Gabriel Covarrubias. The audio is not good. To interact with known people that were allies in this cause, so that they help us to promote it. And well, this has been very successful. I think that you can you listen to me, because sometimes I think you're losing me. Yeah. Well, he's gone. Well, it doesn't matter. I can tell you about this. And well, yes. As Gabriel was mentioning, one of the activities was the t shirts. How the t-shirts and how the activity was carried out, from planning, which is the public that we wanted to address, prices, well, everything, right? So we start moving little by little. I think that here this is where we executed well, the little by little, because we started from one day, then to 1 month, and now we're planning the whole year, because we have seen that there are results here and we're reaching the goal. Another activity that we had was streaming. And it's true that we invested a lot of work and effort, time, resources as well. We didn't reach the goal, because I think that we also learned from all this that we've seen, we learn a lot. Because as I was mentioning, sometimes the little details we give it as granted. So I can tell you that we learn for the following, as Claudia was mentioning, we see an experiment, and we see if this is rejected, if it is thrown to the waste, or if we can take advantage of it for the next time. So yes, it has been a very difficult pathway, also a test and error. But actually, yeah, it was like this. They told us, we didn't listen, and we didn't consider it for the necessary time. So for the next one, we will not miss these points. And I think that this was also a good lesson learned. And right now we're with different activities that also came from this methodology. We really love it, and we are keeping on working with the same team. And well, if there is any question, you can ask me, or you can ask about the process or about any particular case. We can take advantage that Priscilla is here. I would like to add on something that seems very interesting to me, and that is one of the key points that we see in the organizations when they start with this part, to start generating income in a different manners. Many times, what happens is this part of having the team focused on these new things that are going to be created. Many times the first step in our accompaniment has to do with the facilitation of a conversation within the team, within the organization. Maybe we, as some days ago, we accompanied an organization of Colombia, and they wanted to offer alternative products. And the half of the team were saying, no, 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 this we cannot do it, because it goes against our know-how, uh, our way, the way we are, and this could create a lot of impact. Yeah, and we can improve it. And also, I would like to add on, as you were saying, Majo, in the first talks, by talking with Priscilla and with Gabo, it seems that they already had projects that were developed and that were successful products, because they were very well sold, and they just needed to add a little bit of marketing of how to market them and how to go to different segments and how to exploit these capacities that you already had, because not only the t-shirts but the cups were already sold, as I remember, Priscilla, in the place where you are in the headquarters, or in the place where the refugees and the migrants are. But here is where you start having a lot of ideas only to exploit better the own capacities. It wasn't something completely disruptive, but as an evolution part. So we had a base, we have a foundation where to start from. So it was a discovery, at least to us. Yes, yes. And also, I will say that the team wasn't formed only by one area, because sometimes I think that if only one area go, we can be within just one idea. And this to me was very, very interesting, because we were from different areas and we can contribute with different ideas, or we can start moving forward the projects in a better manner. Exactly. I don't know if there is any question. You can write on the chat if you want. Sorry, I came back. I went out because I didn't see you and I wanted to see you for the conversation, but it's very good. And yes, for the organizations, I would love, and thinking about the final part, which are the pieces of advice that we can give to the organizations, to those organizations that are willing to start with these trajectories, with these journeys. Which is the piece of advice that you could give them? What could you recommend? But yeah, Priscilla, go ahead. You're muted. Yeah, to go ahead for choosing new alternative, new models for resources. And yes, we need to learn new things for the fund procurement, for the organization to build up a team, which is very important to generate ideas. And well, I thank a lot to the Kuadili team, because they do a great accompaniment and they gave us a great lesson. Thank you, Priscilla. I think that my recommendation for someone that would like to be doing this is to start. The first step is, if we are gonna do it, and we are gonna make it note in which frame time. It should be a short frame time, 2 3 months. You can do it by yourselves, and then to say, okay, within 2 months we are gonna try a lot of methodology. We were publishing about sustainability all the time in our website. We have a lot of webinars and so on. And that's it. Only in the team we can start, and especially to adopt this new mindset about experimentation, which is the smallest thing that I can do in order to validate it. And I really love it with Priscilla when we talk and we were having this conversation. She was saying it changed our mindset completely, because right now I have a lot of new ideas. So to change this mindset of looking for ideas all the time, and to notice that the world is full of opportunities. So how could we do in we want to make them tangible, if we want to make them feasible, so to allow them to be willing and to start giving the first steps. This is my recommendation. Yeah, it's like the entrepreneurship mindset. I need to start with a lot of them so that one of them is successful, but the rest of others, by having this experimentation methodology and the short working cycles, we're gonna make progress step by step, so you do not require a huge investment, not from time and resources, money resources. So if you already have some ideas, some products or something, a knowledge, for example, a knowledge that is by the organization and that we could take advantage of it, because in reality we do not need much. In summary, a big investment and not even a big team in order to start up with this process. So, and especially what is interesting to me is to generate habits, the habits for having this mindset, this new mindset, beyond the result, because the result is coming. Is that's when you start training, and then you start training and training, and then you don't see the results, but in the long term you will see it. So this is what we need to do to change our mindset and to change differently, and to have all the resources focused on one objective, and that is a short term cycle, because I think this is the best way to move forward. This is our recommendation. Thank you, Clau. As Gabriel is already here, and maybe we can ask him already about his final recommendation, I wouldn't I wouldn't stop sharing with you our website for sustainability that we have, so that the people that want to get know more about this, on the first side we have a podcast where different organizations are telling stories about their organization. There are different chapters, one that is more focused to those experiments that we were talking about, the other about is more focused to the teams, and then the other one that we saw recently about the 10 sustainability models. They are also there, and at some moment if you want to download them you can do this. And also we finished a research study in terms of sustainable finance models in Latin America, so whomever is interested in this topic you can learn a little bit more about it in this website. And here this website we are updating it constantly, so for everybody that is interested in sustainable models. And well, we wanted to ask Gabriel, but he's gone once again. So, is there any other question from the audience? Anyone wants to know something else? Because we can start wrapping up, maybe. Priscila, Claudia, do you want to share something? No, that's it. Great. So, well, if there is no further questions, we have already shared all the information. So we wrap up here. Thank you very much for the attention. Thank you very much to the audience, to Priscila and Claudia. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, we have enjoyed a lot of it. And thank you also to Andrea and the HIP team, the HIP team, for this invite. And well, thank you very much. So we close cameras, videos, and that's it. Thank you. Bye bye.